If there's one thing that we can all agree on, is that SmackDown is the better show of the two. With a never-ending dose of The Shield on Monday Night Raw, when it comes to SmackDown, we have AJ Styles with Samoa Joe and Miz with Daniel Bryan. Those two feuds alone make SmackDown that more watchable than Raw. I mentioned last week how The Miz is the one that needs to win at the Super Showdown in Australia to beat Daniel Bryan for the number one contender spot for the WWE Championship. This feud is going to go all the way until WrestleMania 35 next year, and will conclude with Daniel Bryan beating The Miz for the WWE Championship. Okay? The Miz, of course, delivering an awesome promo. No pun intended. He's always so, expressive in his mannerism and everything, and how he delivers his promos, and every time he speaks, I as for myself, I just stop what I'm doing and I sit there and listen. And if I were to take lessons for promos from a superstar, I would definitely look no further than The Miz. He's definitely one of the best when it comes to delivering promos, and tonight was no exception. And as far as AJ Styles and Samoa Joe go, that closing segment for tonight's show, that is how shit is done. To keep you intrigued and coming back next week to see what happens. That was one of the best closing segments I have seen in a while. That was perfectly done. Samoa Joe showing again why he is one of the best heels on the main roster. And right now, between him and Randy, their heel work is godly. It's untouchable. It's amazing. It's intriguing. It's entertaining as fuck. I love every single bit of it. And tonight, with Randy having his potential next victim, oh yeah, I'm definitely excited. Very much excited. This is the In10sity Podcast. I am your host, Stay True 92. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the In10sity Podcast. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for all notifications. Let's at least try to get to 10 likes tonight. And of course, at the end of the podcast and SmackDown review, please leave your thoughts below on what you would want to see. Did you enjoy the show? And if you enjoyed the review. Follow my buddy Kevin Gray on his IG, atomickevin, which I'll be having on the description below. And he's the one that created the graphics along with the logo. And you can also check out his artwork as a tattoo artist. Now, without further ado, we move on to the opening segment, which we all thought was Miz TV, but then all of a sudden we see R-Truth and Carmella with her new look, hair, auburn, from her blonde hair that she used to have before. They open up to their own show called Truth TV. So they introduced Daniel Bryan and, R-Truth, man. R-Truth is always has always been one of those talents where, WWE dropping the ball on an amazing talent as R-Truth. Back in 2011, he failed that drug policy test, whatever, and which I believe, from what I've read, was the reason why he was pulled out from the main event scene after capital punishment against John Cena for the WWE Championship. Ever since then, R-Truth has really not been anything other than from what I remember, teaming up with Goldust, which is in itself nothing special, and and after that, he's been pretty much forgotten, hidden backstage, and now, he's used to some capacity, which I'm glad to see him on TV, because this guy is definitely all sorts of entertainment. This guy is amazing. His comedy work is amazing. His in-ring work is it's pretty good. I like it. Not the best in-ring worker in the world, but he gets the job done. So he welcomes Daniel Bryan, and it's funny because he puts on his glasses and he pulls out a list of questions as he tells D, because he asked Daniel Bryan if he can call him D, and Daniel Bryan said yes. He asks him if he's been dealing with The Miz for the past 8 years, and how he was able to foil his plans. Last week with the other Carmella, the other Carmella being Maurice, of course, and he asks D how would he feel beating The Miz and being one step closer to winning the WWE Championship. And Daniel Bryan explains, of course, there's no better feeling than having to keep foiling Miz's plans to keep bringing down Daniel Bryan, and no better satisfaction than to beat him for the number one contender spot for the WWE Championship. And it's funny because Daniel Bryan asks to R-Truth what cathartic means, and he's like, yeah, of course I do. Just ask the crowd so they can have a better understanding. I think that was hilarious. That was a good laugh right there. And Miz comes out and asks Truth what's he doing, and Truth tells him, I beat you 2 weeks ago, and I beat you fair and square, and if you had a championship, I would have beaten you for it. But since you didn't have a championship, now I have your show. I have your slot. And I call my show, The Truth TV. And then Miz goes on to say that he's an idiot. And then after that, they go on a back and forth argument. And then Miz goes on to tell Daniel Bryan how he should be preparing himself mentally, and how he plays the underdog, and how he will never step out of his, morals, his good morals, and find ways to win to get the job done. And that's why The Miz will always have the upper hand when it comes to himself and Daniel Bryan, because he is too proud to break the rules, basically, to find a way to get, the win, to get the job done. And then R-Truth goes on to proceed to interrupt The Miz, and then he does that, 7-second dance-off, whatever, and then Miz goes backstage, and then he sees Paige, and then he tells her, you see what's going on out there? Hi, do something about that. It's my show, he's taking my slot, on my show. Do something about it. But then Truth told The Miz before he walked off that if he wants the show back, that he will have to, beat him in a match, to get it back. And Paige tells him exactly that, how he has to go back out there and, win your show back. So they go on in a match, nothing spectacular, nothing out of this world kind of thing. And Truth hits with a suplex to a jawbreaker. Pretty cool move there. For a close 2 count. Then he hits a corkscrew shoulder tackle. But then The Miz goes on, pokes the eye to Truth and hits a skull-crushing finale. And he looks at Daniel Bryan after hitting it while R-Truth is just laying there. And he starts mocking him. He starts doing the yes hand gesture, whatnot. And then he goes on to the corner and hits R-Truth with the running knee to beat R-Truth 1, 2, 3, and thus winning his show back. And then we have Becky, which happened earlier in the day. You have Charlotte on a photo shoot, and all of a sudden you see Becky come out of nowhere and attacks Charlotte, and she throws her against the wall, against the wall and whatnot, and then she drops down. Becky goes on to talk trash to Charlotte, and then she steps on her and tells the photographer, "Oh, wait, where are you going? No, you stay here. Make sure you get all this, and definitely, take a picture of me while I hold the championship up high over Charlotte." That was a great segment. I loved it, but here we go again with WWE trying to villainize Becky Lynch when we all know that, I don't know if you've heard, but while that was going on, you hear nothing but cheers. So again, WWE trying to, flip the narrative and make Charlotte the, sympathetic babyface, and Becky Lynch the bitch, the heel. How she's rejected Charlotte's handshake, and how Charlotte came out last week and just came out of respect, to congratulate Becky and all that. It ain't working, Vince. And it was not going to work. So you might as well just, play how the crowd wants. Because again, Stephanie says that they all listen to the WWE Universe and, and thus giving the audience what they want. Well, obviously that's not the case. Who's WWE kidding? When it comes to people like you and me, we know, we see through WWE's bullshit. Trying to flip the narrative. It's not going to happen. Becky Lynch is too loved by the crowd. Becky Lynch could be a heel. And again, like I said last week, she's not a heel. She'll be a full-blown heel and she'll still be cheered by the crowd. Okay? Don't at me. Because that's the truth. And nothing but the truth. Just like Carmella said, how truth drops truth. Well, here I am to drop truth as well. Okay? So, then we got Sheamus versus Big E. What can I say? Same thing as Drew McIntyre and Dolph versus, with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw. Instead of keeping these teams away from each other until Super Showdown, and putting an effort into making the show a little bit more intriguing, because this is what the main roster shows lack, intrigue. They don't really do much effort to keep us wanting to watch more. What would make it how would the match between the New Day and the Bar be special if you are having these guys go on with against one another, before Super Showdown in Australia. By the time that show comes to be, how am I supposed to feel excited? I already seen these guys go on at each other. It's like, okay, all right, well, I've already kind of seen, the bar, Cesaro versus Kofi and Sheamus versus Big E. What's next? What's next? You want to be? Cesaro versus Xavier Woods. Most likely, I would not put it past WWE. You know how they are. They kill the excitement for a potential feud that should make you feel excited, but they just do everything in their power to just kill that intrigue, that excitement. That's WWE to you. New Day comes out and they coming out and saying how they respect the bar and how Cesaro beat Kofi last week, and they say that they're coming out and they want to play a game. And they want to play a game called Say Something Nice Challenge. Whatever. The bar, you're sitting there listening to how, I think it was Kofi that said Xavier. How Cesaro looks like, Jason Statham, and then, they enjoy his movies. And then, Sheamus goes on to take the microphone away from Big E, and then they go on to say that, they just don't learn. How the bar just wants to fight, and how they're different from the New Day, which all they do is just joke and play around, and that come Super Showdown in Australia, that they will be taking those SmackDown Tag Team titles. So, there was a point in the match, man. The New Day, man, honestly, I think that I feel personally that they've run their course, but, they managed still to, be entertaining, At first, this whole pancake shit, it looked stupid, ridiculous, but somehow they, at least for me, they make me still be interested in them. But as I was saying, there was a point in the match where Big E comes, he's out of the ring on ringside by the ramp, and Xavier grabs a pancake. I believe he has Big E take a chunk out of it, okay, and then he has Big E sniff the pancake, like recovery, like something to here, sniff this so you can recover and gain some momentum, and you know what I mean, like kind of shit. It was the New Day, man. They do pretty much anything to give us a laugh, and I appreciate that, and it was pretty funny, but the match in itself wasn't that exciting. It was just just a match. Big point here is Big E hits a power bomb, countering the bro kick from Sheamus, and pins Sheamus for a close 2 count. And then Big E tries for a big ending, but Sheamus grabs onto the ropes to avoid it, and then hits a bro kick for the win, and that was it. And then you have AJ and Paige backstage. Paige tells AJ not to go out there and destroy the equipment, this and that. And AJ says, all I'm going to do out there is just sign the contract. I'm not there to destroy anything. And then he leaves and then comes back and tells Paige how, if there's anything he's going to destroy, it's Samoa Joe. Then they show Rusev and Lana backstage. Lana goes to Rusev's locker room, and Rusev comes out and tells her that all he wants is answers as to why Aiden attacked him last week. This is another story here that, has definitely grabbed my attention. Again, like I said, SmackDown really is, making that much more effort than last night on Monday Night Raw. They got Miz and Daniel Bryan, they got AJ and Samoa Joe, and now they have Rusev and Aiden. And so Rusev goes out there, and Aiden goes ahead and comes out, as Rusev calls him out. And Aiden explains how he saw how talented and how much potential, he saw on Rusev, but no one took him seriously, He was just nothing, no one was really giving him any notice. And he goes on and shows a video, okay? They show a video package of when Rusev started, Rusev Day started, and how Aiden was there by his side. And then he explained how they were all very much beloved by the crowd. And at WrestleMania, they had, over 70,000 people chanting Rusev Day, and how they were on their way to become legends. And then he says, but what happened? And then he goes on to proceed to point at Lana, and he says, she happened. And then Lana goes on to say how, I don't know what you're talking about, because she helped Rusev, and that Aiden is just a glorified cheerleader, and that he's only trying to make a name for himself through Rusev. And Aiden says, how she, we can understand how you're his wife, okay? I can understand how you support him, how you're by his side, how you're honest with him, and that big honest, he just, he really emphasizes that. And then the crowd goes on to say, Lana is the best, Lana is number one, and then, Aiden goes on to say, Lana is the best, but is Lana going to tell Rusev, last week what she was supposed to tell him? And then he goes on to say, because is she going to tell him what happened that one night in Milwaukee? And then he turns around and leaves. And then Rusev and Lana are looking at each other like, what the fuck? Like, what is he talking about? What's Milwaukee? Like, what? And then they show Asuka and Naomi backstage. How Naomi has those hand pads, and then Asuka is just, punching, sparring, whatnot. And I just sit here and I'm like, wow. This is Asuka. This is Asuka now. This is what WWE has for Asuka now. The one talent, that, she came from NXT and had, 900 plus days undefeated. Yeah. That Asuka, yeah. The one that, she had that mystique aura, that uniqueness, that how she stood out from the rest of the women's division. Yeah, that Asuka, yeah. That Asuka now is being resorted to tag teaming with Naomi? That is the best you got for Asuka. That is fucking mind-blowing, people. Seriously. Think about it. It's fucking mind-boggling. I just can't understand. I just sit there and I'm like, oh, really now? This is what they have Asuka do. Now she's some sort of, comedic act, when Naomi's saying, oh, look, I like your hair and shit like that. What the fuck? What happened to the silent Asuka? The one that did not say fucking shit. That just went out there to the ring to kick some ass. Ever since she fucking lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania in New Orleans, Asuka's never been the same. She has been fucking resorted to feud with a fucking diva. Oh, wait. A women's superstar in Carmella. Feuding for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which made her look fucking stupid, with the whole James Ellsworth, crap going on. She didn't get to win the championship then. And, pretty much WWE, again, another case of killing an NXT talent, killing that work that, NXT has put effort in their talent, their superstars. And now Asuka is the Empress of yesterday. Because the Empress of tomorrow is no more, because I'm not looking forward to what Asuka's doing now, because I don't give two shits what she's fucking, what she does now. Because that's what WWE has done. They have made me not give a fuck about Asuka. And it's not because I don't like Asuka. It's because they have killed every single thing that was unique and made Asuka stand out. But WWE wants me to care about the fucking women's revolution, right? Fuck out of here with that bullshit. That is a criminal act, okay? It is a criminal act to have Asuka do what she's doing now, and I'm seriously just... it exhausts my mind thinking as to why. Because again, Asuka, to me, personally, to me, she was a big deal, man. She beat Goldberg's undefeated streak. And she never got to hold, on top of that she lost, to Charlotte at WrestleMania 35. She didn't get to win the Women's SmackDown Championship. So, they show her, sparring it with Naomi backstage, and then they show Rusev and Lana backstage again, questioning as to why Aiden said what he said about Milwaukee, and Rusev saying, like Milwaukee, and then Lana's like, you believe me, right? And then Rusev goes to say, when was the last time that we were in Milwaukee, and then she walks off. No, I'm sorry. Charlotte goes on, not Charlotte, I'm sorry. Becky Lynch tells Lana how she should forget about the Milwaukee business. And unless she wants to be carried out by Rusev, like Charlotte got, was carried out earlier, when she's done with her, then she better, focus and get on with the program and go out there, and give Becky the best that she's got. Then they, Mandy and Sonya versus Asuka and Naomi. Like I said, Asuka is, Asuka's not Asuka no more. Asuka's not the one talent that we all loved and was excited to see week in and week out. WWE managed to kill her. In the past 5 months, that Asuka after WrestleMania, now she's just nothing. And now she's in the tag team with Naomi against Mandy and Sonya. A tag team match, meaningless tag team match here. Asuka and Naomi win with a double kick. They team up to do a double kick to Sonya. Kicks to the head for the win. Nothing special. Again, there's nothing really going on here. It's the first time I've seen Mandy and Sonya in a bit. They haven't been displayed on TV for a while. But yeah, that was that. But then we have Shinsuke. We have Shinsuke Nakamura versus, ladies and gentlemen, Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger is still employed with the company. You know, we saw him like, a month ago or whatever, went backstage, went with R-Truth. And after that, we didn't see him ever since, until now. But, let me tell you this. This is great news for Ty. Because, for one, ever since his call-up from NXT, I believe last year, he's been used in absolutely no way in any sort of fashion. Whether it was just backstage, only that one time with R-Truth, and, appearances at the Royal Rumble as a number 10 entrant. Nothing. And this guy down in NXT was, he was over. That 10 chant, the perfect 10 chant, he won the crowd over all right. But then, of course, WWE, suppressing the talent coming out from NXT, If it's not what they want, fuck them. Forget them. They'll just kill them off. We just hide them backstage. You can rot back there. Just look, just stay backstage. Travel with us, whatever. Collect the paycheck. You're good. You're good. Fine, cool, whatever. But I'm not complaining. I'm happy that I see Ty Dillinger now. I'm not complaining about that. But it gets even better. There's a Shinsuke versus Ty. Okay, Ty Dillinger starts aggressive. With chops to Nakamura, and then it all turns around. Kick to the back of the head to Ty by Shinsuke, and he hits continuously Ty's head between the ropes, and then he puts him on the turnbuckle, hits the knee to the ribs, and goes for the Kinshasa. Oh my God, I can't even speak. Goes for the Kinshasa, but misses. And then Ty hits a super kick and then a frog splash for a close 2 count. Okay? And then he goes on to hit Nakamura with the 10 punches on the turnbuckle. And then all of a sudden, Randy attacks him. And at that point, I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm excited again. I'm excited for Ty because if this does not mean that Randy is going to be inserted, Ty is going to be inserted in a program feud with Randy Orton, then I would not understand why this happened. But this is great news for Ty Dillinger because he is one to be definitely loved for by the crowd. But of course, I don't know how much love Ty Dillinger is now because he's been so away from from being on TV that he's not as popular as he was. But apparently, the crowd still remembers him, I guess. And, Randy goes on to unleash an assault on Ty. And he throws him against the barricade. He throws him against on top of the announce table. And then he goes on to throw him in the ring. And then outside by the ramp, he hits the spike DDT on Ty and then goes on ahead and walks away. And then you see Nakamura grabbing the United States Championship belt. And then he turns around as he's walking away up the ramp. And then he hits a Kinshasa. And he hits Ty. And then Ty hits the LED board on ringside. And I gotta ask, man. What is WWE doing with Nakamura? What is WWE doing with one of the biggest signees for WWE? Arguably, one of the best matches in NXT history. Not even arguably. Definitely one of the best matches in NXT history against Sami Zayn 2 years ago. I believe in NXT Dallas. What happened to that Shinsuke Nakamura? Again, another case of an extremely well-handled talent, in NXT being brought up to the main roster, and now he is fucking shit. But keep in mind, Asuka and Shinsuke won the Royal Rumbles, this year. Shinsuke went to win the 2018 Royal Rumble, and Asuka went to win the first ever women's Royal Rumble back in January. Explain to me how that, what did that do to elevate them? Might have at the moment, but after that, did WWE care to continue on building them, as believable stars? No! Of course not! Who would even put fucking hope and, trust in WWE handling these NXT talents being called up to the main roster? Like I said yesterday, there's nothing to be excited about when NXT talent is called up to the main roster. They're going to be suppressed. They're going to be, put away on the shelves. If they're not in WWE's priorities, they're going to be shelved. Or they're not going to be they're not going to be handled, with how they're supposed to be booked. Nakamura, poorly mishandled. Ever since that feud with Jinder and not being able to, WWE not putting the belt on him, late last year, while he was still a face, and then losing to Nakamura, continuously, that dragged out fucking, dream match that we all got fucking sick and tired real quick. Who is he feuding with for that fucking United States Championship belt? Who? He's just going out there to have a match with Ty? Unless you want to, insert Ty Dillinger in a feud with Shinsuke Nakamura, but I'm thinking that he's going to be feuding with Randy Orton instead. Or there's going to be a mix-up of the three, for a triple threat match down the line for the United States Championship belt. I don't know. But as far as I know right now, from what I'm seeing, who gives a fuck about Shinsuke Nakamura right now? Who gives a shit about the fucking United States Championship belt? Who gives a shit? Seriously. What is he? Who is going to feud with Nakamura for the United States Championship belt? Perfect person right now that I can see is, R-Truth. R-Truth. What other face is believable enough, that they have on the program right now to face Shinsuke, and benefit, from, feuding with Shinsuke for the United States Championship belt. Because it's definitely not doing anything on Shinsuke's fucking shoulder. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Right now, no mid-card championship title means anything. IC title, on Seth's fucking shoulders, and it's a forgotten fucking thing. Prestige, none. Importance, none. United States belt, Shinsuke, prestige, none. Importance, absolutely none. So, what the fuck? I hope that if it's not just Randy and Ty and Shinsuke's gonna be involved, for the triple threat for the US title down the line, then I don't know. But again, another instance of wasted fucking, mishandled talent. Again, if I'm Shinsuke, like I said yesterday, on Raw's review. Finn Balor and now Shinsuke. If I see my contract coming up real soon, I'm saying bye-bye WWE, and I'm going to the fucking indies where I'm going to be appreciated. Because right now, Shinsuke is being resorted to fucking nothing. And he won't be anytime soon. Because this fucking heel turn, he's cooled off. He's cooled off. He just came out there, man. You know how unexcited I was to see Shinsuke come out tonight? Unexcited at all. Versus from the first time that I seen him debut in the match versus Sami Zayn. Epic fucking entrance. And now he just comes out, whatever. Oh, yeah. Unexciting how, just as unexciting as my fucking voice right now. Boring. Who cares? WWE, man. I really question, I question sometimes, what is the purpose to, bringing these talents that they so desperately want from the indies? What's going to happen to them? All they want to do is just take, hurt the indies, squash the indies, squash these other promotions that they see, coming up, and then you're going to have them for what? So you can, hold them hostage? Handcuff them from what they really can do in the ring. That's what they're doing, But anyways, then they have Mike Rome is backstage, and he stops Randy and asks if Ty Dillinger is his next victim. And Randy says no, but that tank crap pisses him off. He might say that he's not, he might not be his next victim, but I'm more than positive that, Ty Dillinger is going to retaliate, and thus, being inserted into a feud with Randy Orton, which will do wonders to Ty because he was definitely one of my favorites. I got the opportunity to see him on NXT on a few NXT house shows down here in Florida, and the guy's good. The guy again, like I said, very entertaining. I love the gimmick. Might not be the best in the ring, but this is at least WWE making effort in. Displaying talent, of course, that has not been seen. That we all thought that we were forgotten or, given future endeavors or future endeavor. So this, like I said, this could be wonders for Ty Dillinger. Then we have Lana versus Becky Lynch. Again, it was really nothing exciting here. Lynch hits the Bexploder after Lana attempting to counter it, and she has Lana submit to the disarmer for the win. Nothing really special here between them. The only big thing about the women tonight was, Charlotte being attacked by Becky, furthering their feud, and again, WWE trying to portray Becky Lynch as a heel when we all fucking know that she is not, and she's only acting accordingly. But they're having her act like a fucking heel, and she's not. And clearly the commentary, plays out to that, and it's fucking, it insults my fucking intelligence. I feel my intelligence is insulted because they act like, she's a fucking heel when she's not. We all know that. So, not really worried about that much because Becky, no matter what, regardless, like I said, she's not going to be fucking booed. There's no way. She can fucking beat the living shit out of Charlotte, for a fucking year, and in that very year, Charlotte is going to continue to get booed. So, Then we have Kayla Braxton go backstage as Aiden English was watching Lana submit and lose to Becky. And she goes on to ask, what happened in Milwaukee? And Aiden says, not to worry, because I'll definitely, I have evidence, And Kayla asks, what evidence? And then Aiden says, don't worry, because next week I'll be showing the evidence. I have video evidence. So, definitely looking forward to seeing what is going to happen between, in the storyline between Rusev, Aiden, and Nana. So that's definitely, intriguing. I'm hoping that something big comes out and, Rusev can continue boosting up as a babyface and, continue on his popularity and momentum as they go on. Then for the final segment here, Paige introduces AJ for the contract signing. AJ comes out, and then Paige calls out Samoa Joe, and he doesn't come out, and she calls him out again, doesn't come out, and then Paige goes on to apologize to AJ on how she was told that he was backstage, he was coming out, but he's not. But then AJ goes on to say, you're going to believe that Samoa Joe is going to come out here and face me like a man face to face. And he goes on to say that to Denver that he has eyes in the back of his head, and that at Super Showdown, he's going to face him. And then all of a sudden, he is interrupted by Samoa Joe up in the Titantron. And he's out there, right? And he's just, you can see he's walking down, walking in the street, whatever. And then he goes on to say, the best thing about our job is that, we get to travel and see places. And, and you might be finding yourself in places that you might never find yourself in. And that he has done just that. And all of a sudden, you see the camera, come down. And on the mailbox, it says, Styles. And at this point, AJ is like, oh, fuck no. He's like, oh, shit. He tells AJ, AJ tells Paige, he's in my house or whatever. And then Samoa Joe goes on to say, is that guilt? Guilty that you couldn't get the job done? What are you going to do now? Doesn't that feel shitty? Doesn't that feel, how much it sucks that you're miles and miles away and you can't do nothing about it, huh? Is that anger that I feel, AJ? Well, and then he goes on. This guy, man, I'm telling you, fucking best heel right now. On par, I would say on par with Randy Orton. But then he goes on to show a little doll that he has for his daughter. And AJ is just like, please, man, please, I'm begging you, bro, come on, turn around, don't come in my house. And then AJ, and then Samoa is like, oh, so is that fear turning into, oh, look at you, turning that fear into anger. Oh. Is that anger that I sense, AJ? Well, and he goes on to say that he's going to feel broken, I hope that this breaks you, because that's exactly how you're going to find yourself when Samoa Joe beats AJ Styles for the WWE Championship at Super Showdown in Australia. And the match is booked for no DQ, and rightfully so. There's got to be a winner, hands down. Telling you right now, Samoa Joe is going to win this match. I am fully convinced. I'm more than convinced that Samoa Joe is going to win the title, because for one, this guy has been phenomenal. No pun intended. No offense, AJ, but Samoa Joe's work as a heel, it's been absolutely astounding. It's been amazing, on point, spectacular. Very intriguing. He went on to say how, it's one thing that I might have, lost, but you stole the championship from me because I was supposed to have that championship. And this show ends with Joe ringing the doorbell and saying, "Daddy's home." And then I'm like, hold on. The camera pans out, it goes black. And I'm like, wait, what the? But then I'm like, wow. That was a great ending. I'm like, whoa, this is great. I love it. WWE SmackDown giving you a reason to tune in next week, man. This is it. I'm telling you, SmackDown wasn't a bad. It wasn't it wasn't a horrible show. It was a pretty good show. It was a pretty good show, and WWE doing great, by leaving us wanting to see more. This is great. This is absolutely amazing. I'm all for it. I'm seriously thinking that AJ is going to lose at Super Showdown, because if he doesn't, I really don't think that he'll lose it ever. But you know how WWE doesn't do heel versus heel. I mean, if Samoa Joe wins it and Miz wins it, then that's a good question, to think. Because if Samoa Joe keeps it, would you think that Daniel Bryan would win? Or will Miz still win it? Because like I said earlier, I think that this storyline between Miz and Daniel Bryan is going to drag out all the way to WrestleMania 35. But it looks like all four men, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Miz, and Daniel Bryan, will all be plugged in and feuding with one another and ending up in a fatal four-way. And I believe, I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that fatal four-way is going to happen at TLC. It might just happen. That's just my bold prediction, but that's what I'm thinking. So that's it for SmackDown tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please leave a like. Let's get to 10 likes tonight, guys. Let's get this video to 10 likes. Hit that subscribe button for all notifications, and please don't forget to leave a comment down below and give your thoughts on the review. Who do you think is going to win at Super Showdown? AJ Styles or Samoa Joe? And between Miz and Daniel Bryan, who would be the number one contender for the WWE Championship? Please go ahead and leave your thoughts below, and I will see you guys tomorrow night for NXT review. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you later.